$730. $730 US. That is the retail price of the Legion Go S. When I first got my hands on the Legion Go S during CES 2025, I assumed that this was going to be Lenovo's budget handheld. In fact, a lot of the media assumed the same thing. So when I saw the price tag, I was shocked. But does the Legion Go S actually offer enough to justify this price tag? Let's find out in today's review. Upon opening the box of your brand new Legion Go S, you are greeted with some packaging that is eerily similar to that of the Steam Deck or Steam Deck OLED. The power brick is off to the side. There's a cardboard sleeve covering the outside of the handheld. However, there is no case in here included. In place of it is just some standard foam insert. They also included this cardboard stand, which I suppose is nice, but I'd rather not use it, to be honest. I'll have my editor throw in a clip of me trying to put together or something here. But yeah, packaging and unboxing experience is fairly straightforward here. Nothing special. It's more of a no-nonsense unboxing experience, which sort of fits the theme of the Legion Go S. However, the absence of a case of any kind here, even a soft one, is a bit disappointing. So first impressions of the build quality of the device were fairly positive. I remember from CES how comfortable the Legion Go S was to hold, and yeah, it's pretty comfy. I love how the device is molded to perfectly cup the palms of my hands. The weight of the Legion Go S is also decent, weighing in at 1.61 pounds, which is slightly lighter than the Gen 1 Legion Go. Here's a size comparison between some other handhelds, including the Legion Go OG. As you can see, the Legion Go S is a bit on the bigger side, and it's also a bit bulkier. It sort of matches the Steam Deck OLED I have here in size and shape. I actually think the Legion Go S is the most ergonomic handheld I have tried out so far. Seriously, great job designing the shell, Lenovo. Points to you. The buttons, on the other hand, also feel great and are very responsive. They are smaller than the ones found on the ROG Ally, but I sort of prefer this over the larger ones. These feel more like traditional Xbox controller buttons. The joysticks feel smooth and very tight. These are still Hall joysticks if I'm not mistaken, which means you should in theory never have to worry about stick drift. There are also two back buttons on the back as well, and they feel nice and clicky. However, if you fear that you will misclick them, you can always disable them. The circular D-pad feels nice to me as well, but I don't play fighting games, nor do I use the D-pad very often, so I will let you guys be the judge of how good that is. And also, a brand new feature on the Legion Go S is the hair trigger locks. This is a feature that I recall being a huge selling point for the Xbox Elite controller and other Pro controllers. Basically, you can make it so you fire your weapon in COD or another shooter quicker due to the fact that there's less travel from the trigger. Something neat that they didn't have to add. I myself wouldn't play shooters on a handheld as I've found it to be a little uncomfortable to aim at times, but I know a lot of my viewers do, so there's something that is not found in most handhelds out right now. They also brought back the touchpad from the Gen 1 Legion Go in the form of this little square over here. While I do appreciate the thought, I don't find myself using it. I find it to be a little bit of a hassle to use, and the haptic feedback from it produces a loud buzzing sound, which is really disruptive. I will throw a clip in here so you guys can just hear how loud it is. And instead of it being a haptic touchpad like the original or Steam Deck touchpad, this one actually presses in like a physical button, which I don't know if I like or dislike yet. Regardless though, the screen dubbed the 8-inch WUXGA display is a 1920 by 1200p display, making it the 1080p equivalent of a 16 by 10 aspect ratio display, along with a 120 Hz refresh rate. So this is a downgrade in resolution and refresh rate from the OG Legion Go. However, it is also an upgrade. The new display now supports VRR or variable refresh rate. This was a feature sorely missed on the Legion Go 1.0, and for lower power devices, I believe it is a necessary feature due to the frame rate fluctuating so often in more intensive AAA games. The panel also reaches 500 nits brightness, which is on par with the ROG Ally MSI Claw and Legion Go. So nothing spectacular here, but at least it matches the competition in this aspect. So the display is a bit of a mixed bag. While it is a downgrade in resolution, which makes sense for a lower powered handheld, it is also an upgrade with VRR being added. So a bit of a trade-off, and one that I would actually consider worth having. However, I'm not going to compare the Gen 1 Legion Go to the Legion Go S today. We'll save that for a future video, so if you would like to see that, leave a like and subscribe and comment down below so I can hear your feedback. Anyways, moving on. So Lenovo actually moved the speakers from the top of the device to the front of the device this time. This was a huge issue for me with the Legion Go original, and I have also noticed they doubled down on it with the Legion Go 2. It's nice to see the speakers move to the front here. The speakers sound fine to me. I'm no audiophile, but they are loud and fairly clear, so just have a listen for yourself.
Code 0. I repeat, code 0 in this area. All units resume normal duties.
Anyways, the specs of the Legion Go S are the following. It has a custom Ryzen Z2 Go, which was made specifically for Lenovo. The Z2 Go has 4 CPU cores, 8 threads with a max boost clock of 4.3 GHz, 2 MB of L2 cache, and 8 MB of L3 cache. The GPU is a 12 compute unit RDNA 2 GPU. The GPU is 2 generations old now, actually. This is the same generation as the Steam Deck and Steam Deck OLED's GPU. However, it has 12 compute units versus the Steam Deck's 8 compute units. But the real star of the show here is its 32 GB of LPDDR5X RAM, which is, if I had to guess, probably the reason the Legion Go S is priced at $730. So, will that 32 GB of RAM help in performance though? Let's find out. Flat out, gaming on the Legion Go S is below standard for a $730 handheld. Its GPU and CPU were maxed out in most of the latest AAA games I played on and struggled to keep up. While upscaling technology has made these games playable, it was not ideal. I tried out Avowed in the highest performance mode possible and on the lowest settings and got around 30 FPS in the beginning area of the game, with the CPU and GPU utilization both touching 100%. This is a game that just came out, so I thought it would, be a good test to see how future-proof the handheld is. While I may have the Legion Go S still set to 1200p, I have FSR 3 set to performance mode. It does run, at least, which is a plus, but be aware that it's sitting at the bare minimum of playability of 30 FPS and dipping when there's no action on screen with 100% APU utilization. In Spider-Man 2, for some reason, I was originally able to get this game to run, and then suddenly after a patch, it just decided to not work for some reason. Hey guys, this is Killer Cam from the future. I just want to go back and talk about the Spider-Man 2 gaming section of the video just for a second. So I'm in the process of filming B-roll right now, which I had already played Spider-Man 2, but I was not filming myself playing it. So for some reason, the game just runs better now. I don't think there was a patch since I originally played it, because there was already a few patches before them. But yeah, I think it was a file issue. I checked the integrity of the files and whatnot, because it was really bugging out. I'll even throw in a clip here and there just to show you guys how buggy it was. But yeah, I checked the integrity of the files. The game's running a little bit better now. I mean, I'm getting like a solid 30 FPS roaming around the city. So not as bad as I originally thought. But yeah, we're still at like the bare minimum of what this game could be playable at. Especially because it's still not the prettiest looking game at these levels and resolution. And yeah, overall, playable. So not as bad as I originally thought. Ignore my overly negative tone for this section of the video. It's all good. All right, back to the video. My settings were set to 900p and the lowest graphic settings I could possibly put. And yeah, I could get around 30 FPS roaming around the city, and it was not a super stable 30 FPS either. So if you wanted this handheld for maybe Spider-Man 2 or a game like that, I would not pick this up, but it is playable. Just the APU gets maxed out, so it's not a smooth nor attractive looking gaming experience, and it might crash. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, on the other hand, would not even open. This is likely due to the drivers, which were not up to date at launch. This is an ongoing issue with the Legion Go handhelds, where driver updates come out slower than they should. Launching without the latest drivers really disappointed me, because it tells me that Lenovo has not learned from their mistakes, and also raises questions for the Legion Go 2 that's coming out at some point later this year. Since the Legion Go S uses custom silicon, it requires specialized drivers for it as well. So given that Lenovo will have to come up with driver updates for the Legion Go 1.0, Legion Go S, and later this year, Legion Go 2, I am very concerned with the rate at which we will see driver updates across the board for each of these devices. I can't imagine having 3 devices to manage will make the process quicker. So a lot of you may be going down to the comments to say it's not fair that I only tested AAA games here. Well, if you look at the chipset on here, you're right. I shouldn't expect it to run these games super well. However, for the price of $730, I think the consumer should expect these games to run on here at the very least at a playable level. So of course, the Legion Go S will run older and more simplistic games like Balatro or whatever you want to play on here just fine. But guys, we are in the $700 plus territory of the market. We should expect better here. So that is why I tried to test these games out specifically, especially since the Steam Deck is much cheaper than this and can run these games just fine at a low resolution. But to wrap up the gaming section, I have to ask the question, why? Why make custom silicon for the Legion Go S? Why not use the Z1 Extreme, which is likely becoming more cheaper to produce by the day at this point? I don't understand the purpose of making a new but weaker chip for a handheld that is not even considered budget at this price point, which leads me to the last part of this video. At the beginning of the video, I had brought up that this is a $730 device that was once perceived as a budget handheld. $730 puts it above the ROG Ally, MSI Claw, Legion Go 1.0, and $70 short of the ROG Ally X, but the only thing this has over those handhelds is 32 gigabytes of RAM, and in some cases 1 terabyte of storage. And I genuinely have no idea why they opted for 32 gigabytes of RAM. Like, yes, I always love having more RAM, but it makes little sense to equip it on a lower performing handheld that is supposed to be a more affordable option. Quite frankly, charging $730 for this handheld is nonsensical, especially when they already announced that the exact same handheld will be sold for $230 cheaper later this year, with the main difference, at least as far as I'm aware, being the operating system. So I don't understand what Lenovo was thinking of making the Legion Go S $730 when it uses a weaker chipset than its competitors in the same exact price range that are oftentimes found much cheaper. The only thing it has over these devices, as I said earlier, is the RAM and sometimes storage, which is not necessary in most games running at 1200p and below. The Legion Go S also does not come with a case, which it really should for how expensive it is, especially when you consider the Gen 1 Legion Go did, and that started at $700. But regardless, for the performance this device offers, it should not be in this price range, period. The upcoming SteamOS version, as I discussed earlier, is supposed to be $499 when it launches. At least that is what has been stated at the time of this video. I do not personally believe having Windows is worth another $230 for largely the same hardware, which underperforms for its price range. At the end of the day, the Legion Go S is actually a fantastic device when it comes to its tangible features, such as its ergonomics, joysticks, buttons, build quality, and its other features like the 2-stage triggers, and of course its front-facing speakers. But the hardware inside really confuses me. The Z2 Go is far too weak for a $730 handheld, and 32 gigabytes of RAM does not make up for its lack in performance. I mean, the GPU is 2 generations old at this point. Don't get me wrong, RDNA 2 is still great. It's what powers the PS5 and Xbox Series X, which both are still going very strong. But for the price you are paying, you should at least be getting Z1 Extreme level GPU performance. And the CPU is also cut back as well, with it only being 4 cores. So you'll be bottlenecked there as well, which in my opinion is completely unacceptable at this price point. However, on the bright side, playing with the Legion Go S makes me more excited to try out the SteamOS version of it when it launches later this year with a much more attractive price point of $499, which is what this version should have been priced near as well, especially considering you can get a more powerful Gen 1 Legion Go for cheaper, or even the original ROG Ally, or you know what? Go ahead and spend the extra $70 and get the ROG Ally X at this point, which has only 8 gigabytes less RAM, but a more powerful chip inside with the Z1 Extreme, faster RAM, and a bigger battery. So in conclusion, I don't think there's nearly enough here for Lenovo to justify the price tag of $730. And overall, I actually don't recommend anyone buy the Windows version of the Legion Go S, at least at this price point. But that doesn't mean I think it's a bad product. Have you ever heard the phrase, there's no such thing as a bad product, just a bad price? Well, whether or not you agree with that logic, that's how I feel about this product here. This is just a poorly priced handheld that is overall actually pretty solid, but only if it were much more affordable. So if we take the price away, the Legion Go S actually has a lot to offer that I love, but where it sits in today's market among its competition, it makes it one of the worst options to choose from. But here's hoping the SteamOS version of the Legion Go S really shines when it debuts later this year. But that's going to do it for today's video. If you found this video informative, leave a like and subscribe for more handheld reviews and tech related videos. Also, you might as well hit that little bell to be the first to know when my next video comes out, because the handheld market is just heating up and we're going to try to cover as many of these things as we can. This has been Killer Cam. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one. Peace.